The building is literally sinking into the soil.
20 years ago, Dave Watts bought a fourplex in Fairbanks.
It settled more.
At $113,000, it seemed like a great deal.
The drawback is that it's sinking into the mud.
He loses more of his home every year,
You can get an idea here of how much settling has occurred.
leading to constant repairs.
If I put $100,000 into this building, I could get it fairly leveled up and stable for 15 years maybe.
Watts is one of hundreds of people impacted.
The house is kind of getting squished by the earth, I think.
This sinking house down the street is filled with college students.
None of these bedroom doors close anymore.
And huge cracks in the walls.
There's a thin hairline crack, and even in the last 6 months, it's gotten noticeably larger.
Destruction caused by a thawing permafrost throughout Alaska's interior, from bumpy roads to flooding at Kramer's Field, a refuge for migratory birds.
The most important thing for us is just to keep it cold.
To better understand the problem,
Okay, I'm going to go in first.
we go 40 feet below the surface.
This is what permafrost in Fairbanks and interior Alaska looks like underground. This part was dug in 1963 and 1964.
The military dug this tunnel, an experiment created to see if permafrost could withstand an enemy's attack.
Now you can start to see these ice wedges are very commonly mocha brown in color.
Now it's a place where scientists can access 100,000 years of climate change.
Permafrost is anything that's frozen underground. It's part of soil, rocks, roots, and in our case, even animal bones.
An air conditioning system keeps the temperature here at a steady 26 degrees, despite temperatures that soar to 90 degrees plus during the summer. At the end of one tunnel is an example of what happens when the air warms up.
This isn't a catastrophic collapse. This just happened slowly. It deformed over time.
That's essentially what's happening as warmer temperatures have begun to impact Alaska's permafrost.
And the question isn't if climate is changing, the question is it changing out of whack with what we've seen over the last 100 or 1,000 years?
The evidence is undeniable.
This is part of a steppe bison.
Alaska's ground is sinking, some trees growing sideways.
This silt is about 70% ice content, and so when this type of permafrost thaws, yeah, it's mostly just muddy water.
Which begs the question, what's the plan, if any, for the future?
I don't know. I don't know, yeah. Keep living here and keep making repairs.
Oh, it's peach. It's beautiful today.
It is gorgeous.
I love it when the sun has these warm rays.
Describing the colors of a glacier, almost impossible.
When we start a morning tour, it's always a beautiful peach color. And by the time we come back, the sun will have moved over a little bit and you'll be getting more direct sunlight on the front of the glacier, the terminus.
Forever changing, moving, and more often these days, shrinking and receding.
Welcome to the Matanuska Glacier.
We join Sarah Kopczynski for a 2.5-mile hike.
I got my PhD on the Matanuska Glacier.
She seems to know every inch of this ice and every pool of blue,
These ponds are called kettle ponds.
every crack, every surface,
Look how the sun's catching the scallops.
Isn't that gorgeous?
and every move. But she's keeping up with nearly daily changes here.
The amount of water coming out of the Matanuska Glacier is approximately 99 million gallons per hour. That's a lot of water.
It is a nonstop job.
The glacier's been receding since the 60s, late 60s. In the late 60s, the glacier ice was up by the parking lot, and around 1968, it started retreating to its location today. That's about 10 meters of retreat each year, so that's about 32 feet each year.
Alaska is losing ice faster than any other glacierized region on Earth outside the ice sheets, and we're losing ice disproportionately fast here in Alaska.
This time-lapse video shows how quickly it's happening on Wolverine Glacier in the Kenai Mountains.
The changes we're seeing right now are accelerating.
Scientists say that on average, Alaskan glaciers lose 75 gigatons, that's 75 billion tons of ice every year. In just 2.5 years, that amount of glacier melt would fill Lake Tahoe.
By the end of this century, we will have lost somewhere between 30 and 70% of the ice volume in Alaska.
That loss also impacts sea levels, water temperature, and the marine life that depends on both.
We're supposed to be entering another glacial period, so the fact that we are actually warming is somewhat more astounding. And the changes we're seeing right now are accelerating.
The sun's warm sunlight can be undeniably beautiful, but also powerful. And with each step, there's something new to see on top of something less.
There you go. Yep.
With $100 worth of gravel and free help from the kids, Michael Sheldon hopes this preventative work will keep his car from getting stuck in the ice this winter.
That's exactly how you do it.
He's usually a pretty happy guy, but lately that hasn't been his story.
I cried. I still cry. I wake up and crying at night.
A few weeks ago, after years of tooth problems, he had all of his teeth taken out and was told to come back in 4 weeks for dentures.
I get the call. You're cut. You can't get teeth now. And I was like, well, what can I do about it? And they said, call your representatives.
The cut was the elimination of Medicaid dental coverage. Sheldon says he can't afford the down payment on new teeth.
I tried to eat a hamburger the other day. That didn't work. I'm like, man, you can ask my daughter. I was driving down the road going, I can't wait to get my teeth. I want to go to Carlos Jr.
We've signed the operating budget.
When the governor announced the veto of the program, he said the full PFD could pay for things like dental work.
We have to close this gap. This budget touches practically every Alaskan. It's not necessarily going to be easy. We never said it would be, but we do believe that in some of these cases, a full statutory PFD could mitigate some of the issues.
A down payment for dentures is $2,000.
We can't continue to be all things for all people. We don't have the money to do that.
Sheldon just wishes he knew that before having all of his teeth pulled.
I would hope something gets done. Yeah, it hurts. Bad.